There are literally just 4 reasons that people don't ever graduate to closing enterprise deals. I have managed hundreds and hundreds of sales reps. Some have done it. Some have made the graduation to close 6 figures and 7 figures. Some of them haven't. But today's episode, I'm going to break down the 4 absolute musts that you have to have in 2025 to master complex B2B sales. In today's day and age, it is an absolute given that there's not one champion who's going to go make your life and your quota for you within a deal. There's going to be like 11 people in a deal. And innovative sellers get that. And so today's episode, Innovative Seller number 25, I am going to break down the 4 absolute must-haves that you are going to need to implement if you want to be successful in closing the monster deals. I have taken a client from 0 to $4 million in 10 months with this approach. Okay? It is a very simple and tactical approach, and I promise if you just do these 4 things, it is going to change the way you sell. All right, so let's jump into it and let's start with the first one. All right, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Make sure to like the video if you find value in the next few minutes. Subscribe to the channel. We are putting out lots and lots of modern sales videos every single week around innovative selling and also around AI. So make sure, like, subscribe, do all the things. And in this first piece, I'm going to talk about how most sellers are hunting for this mythical decision maker, right? The reality is most should be mapping the actual web of influence that drives modern purchasing decisions. Find the decision maker. Find the decision maker. Who's the decision maker? My friends, I'm going to tell you right now, this concept of a singular decision maker could be the silent assassin on your deals. In today's day and age, okay, there are people that influence it that are in the buying team. There is procurement. There's a bunch of people in the buying team. And there's a whole bunch of people in the end user team, department head teams, multiple people on the end user teams. All of those people, if you think about the term decision maker and what does decision maker actually mean, right? To me, decision maker means, hey, this is the person that can just nix the deal or say yes. The reality is in today's buying, we have decision makers, plural, okay? And so what you have to understand is this kind of power influence matrix. And so for a lot of you, what I want you to start to think about is, okay, for this buying team, who's probably going to be involved? Usually like a department head sits between the end user team and the buying team. So you're going to have to make sure you're kind of talking to them both about return for their team and functionality. But again, I want you to think of some of like the common issues with the end user team. So the first common issue with the end user team that I'll talk about is you get locked into one champion. Becky is the one who reached out. You have a good conversation with Becky. She's on the digital marketing team. Becky loops in a bunch of her coworkers, and you don't form relationships with the other people. There are meetings that are happening where Becky's in a room and Rachel's over here, and Rachel just likes to say no. Or she just doesn't like anything Becky likes. And that person says, no, I don't think there's value here. And although Becky liked it, you never did a good job of keeping in touch with Rachel. So again, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about how can you on the end user team really make sure you're maintaining threads to other people. So imagine, and how you do that is after that big first meeting, make sure you send out a recap to the team, but also send out individual little emails. That is one of my biggest hacks for you, is after every recap with your end user team, send individual emails too. You need to start to create additional little There's no such thing as a champion. There's also champions. Just like there's no decision maker, there's decision makers, right? And by the way, same thing on the power line. So power line, maybe, whatever executive sponsors, the VP of marketing, and the CMO is, her boss. And that individual, you get a meeting with everyone, same thing. send a group email, and then send individual emails adding value. In today's day and age, you need multiple threads. A web doesn't look like 2 threads. A web looks like a bunch of threads, right? I don't know. How many webs are in a spider web? I don't know. I'm not a big spider fan. So that, my friends, is one of the easiest ways to think about managing the complexity, is after the recap, send individualized emails and start building additional relationships. Okay, next up, I want to talk about how innovative sellers aren't just connecting with multiple people, they're strategically building different types of relationships across the teams. So let's jump into that. So not only am I making sure I'm touching these people, right? I'm making sure as we kind of progress through it, we get to relationship and to influence. A contact is somebody who shows up in a meeting. The next thing is like the beginning of like some type of, and again, the word relationship, I always thought it's kind of a funny one, but it's some type of like, hey, there's some trust being built. I think maybe we'll call it trust building. Okay. And then now they're advocates, right? So I'll call it, I'm just a random contact. I'm now building trust, and now I become an advocate for you. So what I want to try to do is teach you in these big deals how you can get more people to go to trust built and then to advocates for you, okay? So you're going to do a better job, as we talked about, of sending out additional emails as a part of this. The next thing that you need to realize is each person in the web cares about something slightly different. And what I see happens is with a lot of proposals that people put out is there's like this big proposal at the end. It's like this big, long proposal, and it talks about everything. Well, what I want to do, let's say I've got the end user team, and then I'll talk about the buying team too, is imagine I've got the digital marketing person and I've got the performance marketing person. The reason the performance marketing person might want to work with us is going to be different than the digital marketing person. And so when I'm doing my follow-ups, am I doing a good job of building trust that I get their specific world? And that is how you move to trust building, is you start to send little notes, you could send white papers, you could send blogs. They don't even have to be your content. You can go to ChatGPT and ask for some sources to say, hey, how would a product like ours impact the actual performance marketing team? Cool. Boom. Hey, Michelle, really, it was great to connect last week. Found this. I thought this is interesting. So the next thing that you have to think about is you establish this, but we've got to move from trust building to advocate. And then how you start to move to advocate, and I'll give you another example first. Let's talk about the buying team, the team that needs to see the return on investment. The CFO is going to care about something much different than procurement than the department head. So I get a big meeting, CFO's in it, send that individual email. Email to that person might be about cost savings, driving top of funnel. The department head, I might talk about time savings with their teams and what that's actually going to mean for their team. So just think with each individual person in the web, I need to try to move them from just a contact to starting to build trust and to be an advocate. And in order to do that, my friends, you're going to have to do what I just said, which is you're going to have to try to do a better job of showing them this is how I help you specifically. I mean, my friends, that's just straight gold, okay? So let's jump into a couple of more areas here that I think are really, really important. Okay, so let's talk about the next piece within deals, right? The biggest deals don't die from the competition. Run that back. You're not losing deals to the competition most of the time. They die from indecision and a lack of consensus building amongst these two teams, the end user team and the buying team. I'm going to let you in on a little fact, okay? The fact is this. Most companies don't know how to collaborate. I think I saw a stat once, 84% of companies cite that they have poor collaboration. And so what that actually means is they don't know how to buy. And what happens is if you're not doing a very good job of, call it like orchestrating for them, if instead what you're doing is you're saying, okay, well, great. And then Lisa goes and talks to this group. And then Becky's supposed to go talk to this group. That is another big reason you are losing deals. It could be one of the biggest reasons. is that what's happening is you have to be the quarterback. You have to be the consensus builder. There is a very high likelihood the person who you are interacting with, or persons, hopefully now it's persons, they maybe buy something once a year and they don't know how to buy because, again, they buy something once a year. It's slightly different every single time. And so you, as the individual seller, you have to be the consensus builder. You're the one who has to say, okay, and we're going to do a separate meeting for IT, and we'll talk through some of the nuances around security in our next meeting. We're going to do a separate meeting for just the performance marketing folks because I want to talk about a few things that are going to impact your life. So I think for a lot of people, you have to stop trying to rely on other people to move the deal for you. It's never going to happen. Give up all hope. You have to realize it is your job to be the orchestrator, okay? That means that I'm doing additional meetings from time to time, and I say this all the times. More meetings will actually lead to faster deals. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this firsthand. Rep number one kind of lets the pace go at the internal person's pace, and it drags on or dies. Me and my teams, we leave we start the second meeting saying, hey, after this meeting, there's going to be probably a couple of meetings. One, my more technical folks, we're going to talk about this. Two, my this folks, we're going to talk about this. Three, we're going to talk about this. This meeting, we're going to talk big picture. And then I can start to drive the pace. So there's this kind of, pre-meeting strategy to understand what are the additional meetings that I know are going to need to happen and making sure that those happen. Making sure I'm keeping each group moving. I'm making sure the buying team is at the same education level as the end user team. I'm making sure if there's a vetting team that's involved, I'm making sure that those people are also, kind of in the loop. And all these groups don't always need to meet together. I will go and meet with them individually. So that's a big one. What building consensus is really about is driving momentum and what success looks like to each individual person in the deal, right? And to me, that's probably one of the most important pieces. All right, so last but not least, I want to talk about digital orchestration and tools. Top performers are using digital tools at scale to make this happen, and I'm telling you, it is giving them an unfair advantage over sellers that are literally using like sticky notes and oh crap, I forgot to follow up with Paul emails, okay? For me, I'm gonna give you a couple of tools that I think are really great for doing this that can help you to keep everything in one place. First is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Okay, for those of you who think of Sales Navigator as a place to email, you are years behind, my friend. Sales Navigator is continuing to evolve, and one of the things that they have added recently is this relationship map. I think it's honestly one of the best features that they've added. It's kind of a no-brainer. So within Sales Navigator, you can use this relationship map to kind of map these out, and then you can write little notes like, again, you can steal my framework, by the way. You can steal my contact, trust building, and, advocate framework, right? And then you can start to see, okay, how many people do I have that are in this stage versus this stage? So I love LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Again, the relationship map is the name of the tool as well. The next thing is that you need to have digital assets ready for different types of digital buyers. Let me give you an example. I might want to have 2 or 3 different 3 or 4 minute videos that are demos of the product or demos of use cases that I can send to individuals. So let's go back to my digital marketer use case. So I might have one little 3 to 4 minute, kind of video that's going to speak just to the digital marketer, and another one that's going to be for the CFO, and another one that's going to be for the VP. And so you need to have, and think of also, other types of digital content. And the cool part is you can just recycle the same stuff you're sending from deal to deal. Right? Like, the demos, the content that you might find, it's going to be just as applicable to this digital marketer as it is to this one. So, for me, if you do a good job of keeping the relationships mapped, like I said, I think Sales Navigator does a fantastic job of that. And then you have digital tools to engage people, you are going to close more deals. Okay, so that is it, my friends. That is my comprehensive buying team orchestration system. Okay, if you do what I told you, I promise you are going to close a ton more deals, and you're going to close them a lot faster than your peers. So my friends, we are here toward the end, and now it is time for kind of the thing that you've been waiting for, which is the 4-step process to get through this, right? And so if I summarize this for you, okay, I want you to think about the things that we walked through today. Number one, you have to have a spider web. You can't have two little pieces of spider web. You need a full web, right? You need to make sure what you're doing is after every single meeting, you're doing what? That's right. You're sending individual emails as well too. Number two, we are thinking about how do I build more of the people in my web from just a contact to trust building to advocate, right? As a part of that, okay? Next, but certainly not least, is you have to be the catalyst. If you are not the catalyst, the deal will not move, right? It will just sputter along. People have a lot of other jobs that is not helping you to close a deal, and you have to drive the momentum. And then last, but certainly not least, my friends, you absolutely have to use digital tools to manage this. You can't afford to hop on a call with everybody. You need to be able to nurture people digitally and then use Sales Navigator to keep track of it, right? And if you do those things, you are going to be a great enterprise seller, okay? To me, this is what separates, the child from the adults in the room, is the people that understand, man, it's just getting harder out there. Let's be honest. It's getting harder to sell. There's more competition, economic uncertainty, all those things. And so if you're somebody who's trying to up your game, this is just the new 2025 playbook, my friends. It'll be the same playbook for 2026 too. More people involved. You've got to get more clever. You got to scale yourself, my friends. And that's what it really means to be an innovative seller. An innovative seller is somebody who is out there scaling themselves 24/7. And so that's what I got for today's episode. Innovative seller number 25. Wow, number 25. If you have not got your copy of the book yet, what are you waiting for? We hit number 21 USA Today bestseller list. Obviously number 1 on Amazon. And it really is a book, man. I'm getting so much feedback still here, a year later, of just like, gosh, this is so relevant. This makes so much sense, as a part of, the work that other sales leaders are doing. So make sure you do that. If you already have a copy of the book, make sure to sign up for the newsletter. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter and you join us there. And if you've already signed up for the newsletter, make sure you get involved in the community. The Innovative Seller community, man, we've got lots of modules, learnings. There's a prompt library. There's like a ton of value in there. So all things to help you be an innovative seller, right? So again, if you haven't bought the book, buy the book. Subscribe to the newsletter, and then join the community if you're ready to kind of take it to the next level. As always, if you like the video, like and subscribe. Share this video with your peers, your other enterprise sellers. And that's what I got. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. We will see you on the next one.